All right, so here's how I process metal vocals in Ableton. Now we have a big group and then we have a couple tracks inside. So first track, we have a saturator. This is just for limiting, basically a compression to make sure the vocal is all even. Another saturator just to catch any peaks, run them off nicely. So we're using that soft clip. A limiter just to kind of enforce the same thing. And then an EQ, just sweeping through with the little headphone button here and finding what vocal frequencies sound harsh. Camel Crusher, we're just dialing this in a little bit later to add some of that distortion effect, similar to like what Code Orange or Kubla Khan uses on their vocals. And then a smooth operator just to take down some of the harsh frequencies at the top end, catching some of those peaks to make it sound a little bit more enjoyable, not so harsh to listen to. Now I wanted to show you this Camel Crusher. We're just dialing this in for a small part of the vocals here. This is what it sounds like with. And then without. It adds a nice distortion texture that sounds pretty good in the mix. Now, we are basically just copying and pasting. So this is our mid layer. We have a high layer on top of this. If we take off all of our effects, this is what the vocals sound like without all the track effects. And with. So it just makes it a little bit smoother. And same thing with the high vocals. Just makes it come to life a little bit more. Now, lastly, we have a vocoder kind of layer here, and this is just to make it sound a little bit more dark. Here we have a couple layers, but basically what I'm doing is in an audio effect rack, we have two vocoders going, one that has a low format and one that has an even lower format. Mess with the dry wets on each and the release to make it sound a little bit more like it fits in the track. So here's those two layers. And then if you layer it with the actual, it sounds a little bit of like ear candy in the background. Now for our main group, we're using some EQ. Again, just sweeping to find any frequencies that don't sound good, boosting some that do sound good, make the vocal sound full because we are cutting out quite a bit of the low end and sometimes that can lead to a lack of fullness in the vocal. We're using some de-esser. I just use Ableton's. We have some more Camel Crusher on top of that for distortion. We have some compression, again, just to level out all the vocals since all of these are coming through the group, making them sound nice and tight together. Some reverb. We're automating this depending on the part of the track. So 30% most of the time. And then for this like vocal swell here, it kind of goes up. So here you can hear what that sounds like. Kind of adds like that swell to make it sound a little bit more like a transition to the next part. We're using some vocoder, just a super slight amount just to add like a overall like dark tone to the vocals, EQing out some low end as well as just bringing some frequencies down so it doesn't sound as harsh. And then again, just to make sure that there's no low end, we're EQing out all of that low end again at the end of the chain. So that's how it sounds. If you want to hear what it sounds like kind of all together, here is like a little snippet of the intro. And of course, without any of the effects, it sounds pretty garbage. So basically any type of harsh vocal needs a good amount of processing to make it sound decent, in my opinion, unless you're somebody crazy talented, which I am not. Shout out to Mike for the super sick instrumental that he dialed in 5 minutes.